feel like there's interesting energy for us today because I'm sitting in the highest vision of what I've held for this brand and this podcast for the last 7 years.
So beautiful.
And to have you come into this space and just acknowledge that. Like, I didn't know how much you knew about me or the pod or what I've been kind of bringing through in the body of work. But I just wanted to start by saying I felt really seen by you. And I bet a lot of people say this to you. Is that?
Oh my goodness.
Have I got that right?
You just hit my absolute heart center, because that's one of my biggest goals in life, is to make sure that anyone who I connect with across any walk of life, that is the first value in which we connect, that I see you. Because I believe that being truly seen by someone and activating that within yourself or connecting that with others is the greatest form of love. Yeah, so I love that. And I'm so glad that you felt that.
I felt your love. I felt your acknowledgement. I think founder to founder, you just got it.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Yeah, so I'm just honoured to be doing this with you, to be doing this with somebody who, saw me in the way that you did and is holding this with me today.
Oh, well, as am I. I'm extremely honoured to be in your space. And it's so amazing to see what you've cultivated, because it is every inch of you and your essence and what you're doing and bringing people into your world, like what you were saying about, out there, how it is every inch of you, which I think is really special. And to have that character and that flow through things is what is your uniqueness and what, embodies what you're doing, which is really cool.
Yeah. So for anyone listening, I was saying to Bianca before we started how much I've had to resist the millennial urge to go minimal and for everything to match and to feel really, I don't know what it is, kind of uniform and refined in some way. And I think as a generation, we've sort of found control through that way of presenting things and ourselves and sort of conforming. And so I've had to resist that urge for this to be aesthetic. Can I let this be me? And like I was saying to you, this is what my stuff looks like. When I go thrifting, this is what I'm attracted to. And even like, these are the books that changed my life, and they don't all have white or black spines. They're orange so much. And they're purple and they're blue and, allowing that kind of creative chaos, I suppose it is. And this space to be, like the essence of me and everybody that I help. So yours is the opposite.
Mine is the opposite.
But in not a conforming way, in a really clarifying way. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
So for anyone that's going to go and have a look at how kind of Del Rainbow's expressed, but also kind of how you're expressed personally as well, it does feel like one thing.
Yeah. It's interesting because I'm the exact opposite as an individual and a human. So I kind of, in my surrounds, I like them to be somewhat a blank canvas so they can vibrate and bounce to whoever enters the room and what that engages with. And then also myself, because my energy is so prominent in what I bring forward, and I really want that to be able to be kind of mirrored through the room. So that's why there is a lot of mirroring, a lot of stainless, a lot of clearness, so that it can just become whatever it's supposed to become.
Yes.
And I love that freedom in that, somewhat. And then there's that little bit of personality within me that then just emanates throughout it,
depending on the kind of special.
Yeah. And
the special spark
is,
within it all. We just use spark.
Yeah. Which I love. But that's something that I love about your space, is because that's how you really get to know someone, is
Here
that
are my things.
Yes.
Here are my stories.
Yes. And then that immediate connectivity with, I'm sure that if I go out there after this and we look through some of those books, I'm sure I'm going to have a story and a connection with some of those that have helped you throughout your life, and it becomes a part of you in which way you lead, what you do in your life. And they are so important to, be embodied. Like, even though my space is, very clean lined and focused within that element, on my desk there's little important things, like I have my crystals, I have all of my little things that support me and are my essence of who I am, but they're minimal in a way of like, well, if you get to engage in my space, you will meet me for who I am. Yeah.
You strike me as somebody who has explored themselves.
Yes, very thoroughly.
Talk to us about that. What have you moved through? You are arriving here as somebody who's very expressed, very sure about who they are. That gets translated into the business and the brands that you're working with. We're going to talk about all of that. But how did you get to this place of, just expression and refinement and kind of clarity of self?
Yeah, I think, it's an ongoing journey. First of all, I think that all of those, self-exploration and, coming into who you are is always an ongoing journey because we're constantly evolving as we level up. We continue to evolve.
It's really never done, is it?
Oh, it's never done.
Yeah.
That's when the work.
Hold on a second.
Oh, honestly, it truly is. I think that as we move and evolve through things too, then new elements of ourselves are able to arise to kind of go, okay, cool. Now that you've done that, thank you so much.
On to the next.
Yeah, I'm ready for you to actually tackle this part of yourself now. So I think it's like the onion layers, as they say. It's an ever evolving. Once you get through the one, the next one is underneath. And for me, I guess, from early ages, I had to definitely stand on my own 2 feet. It was really that journey for me in which I had to be very self-motivated, self-driven.
Okay.
I think that really ultimately shapes you into this journey of self-discovery. I had every which way, shape, form thing happen in my childhood and life and continue through to my, adulthood. But what that did, and in all of the different elements through, heartbreaks, through, abuse, through all different levels of life, that really showed me immediately. It was interesting because none of it really impacted me in the sense of it became my story. It certainly really just pushed me into going, I really want to get to know these elements of myself. And I really did see them from a young age as a beautiful challenge and an obstacle in which I was going to overcome to create me to who I am in this moment. And I don't know what that was or why I had that within me, but it was something that I wanted to explore, and that's what excited me. Or if ever I was able to connect with something and evoke passion, that's what kind of led me through that process and that, that pathway. But when I was about 16 years old, I saw my first energetic healer.
Oh, so you've been in this for a while.
Yes, yeah. And that was the moment that changed my life for good. It was actually my amazing aunt, who's like a best friend to me. She's incredible. She actually booked me a session with her, and I was going through a lot of health issues at the time. I'd had 8 different arterial heart kind of surgeries that had all manifested into my body from experiences in which I had been through, which I'm so deeply attuned with because I know how powerful your heart and mind is, and in terms of how that manifests into bodily experiences. So as a young, teenager, that really showed me, oh, wow, my mind must be this powerful that I've truly just actually manifested this through my body. So being able to see an energetic healer for the first time, and one of the first things she said to me was, oh, you broke your heart. And I went, oh my goodness. And that was a moment where I was seen, and then I could feel everything that she was doing. I was so engaged in the way that she was working, the things that she was saying. And I just, from that moment, realized that we are so much more, and we have so much energetic source that is surrounding us, and we're so powerful in ways that we can operate. And from that moment, I started seeing her consistently, and that became a really big pathway for my life. I actually did my energetic healing course, a couple of years into that experience. But it was interesting because I never thought, oh, I want to go down this path. I knew that I had to embody that in which way of thinking, being, functioning, experience, and connecting with others through that modality and bring that into whatever it was that I was supposed to do.
This is really interesting for us to explore. And on behalf of anyone listening, so often I think this is really system-led thinking, conditioning, that we go and study these courses, get these certificates or degrees, and that has to become then who we are.
Oh, yeah.
We need to start to see learning and knowledge as more as foundations through which we live, create, bring stuff through, relate, love. Like we can build these inner knowledge bases that don't fucking monetize.
Yeah.
like it's safe for us to acquire knowledge and begin to live as an expression of that knowledge and use it in places where it might not have originally been created for. Like, say how you're kind of using this energetics in your business, and it kind of comes through in everything that you do and how your clients kind of think about you and talk about you and what you've done for their brands. But I think this is like really key for people listening. Like, it's safe for you to study.
It absolutely
and it doesn't
is.
have to mean anything. It doesn't have to go on to become anything. It's just this acquisition of wisdom that you then just start to express in different areas. This is so much of the, I think, work for us to do, but especially our generation.
Absolutely.
Is just distancing ourselves from that system-led thinking that everything needs to be a business, everything needs to be commercialized or monetized, and that everything has to make sense on paper.
Oh God,
kind of coming out of
when
that
it
now.
Doesn't make sense. That's where the magic is.
Exactly.
I could not agree with you more. It's that knowledge basis in that exploration into who we are, all of these different touch points and pathways in which we take in our life that we get moved to, because the universe is always like, I will whack you over here 10 times until you look, if you're looking left, I'm going to whack you until you look right, and you start to take this journey. And all of those incremental steps and all of those pathways and just step by step in terms of what we learn and what we engage with and what we foster and what we understand becomes a part of us, actually helps us develop exactly who we are at its entirety, which allows us to open up into what we are supposed to be doing in our purposeful led life. But I couldn't agree with you more. I think that knowledge and gaining inner wisdom is what actually allows us to really soar in what we choose to use as our vehicle.
Yeah.
So, your vehicle in what you're doing right now, all of the different touch points in your life in which have led you to this exact moment when we're having this amazingly powerful conversation together, and the community in which you're building, this is your vehicle, but all of these different touch points make you exactly who you are. And I think that's the most powerful. It is.
And this is for us to remember in the moments when we're moving through. I talk about this as storyline. I talk about this as material. When we're moving through some textured material, trying to land in the remembering that this is required. I might not like it. I might not understand it right now. This hurts a lot. But wow, it's required. And so this is the moving out of the resistance to what's taking place, accepting it as a throughway to the next. What you were kind of saying is what source, consciousness, universe is trying to steady us for. But there's these kind of junctures, these milestones that we have to sort of meet or conquer or overcome in order to get to the next part of the plot,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But this helps me so much that this is required.
It is. And they are
everything you've been through.
Oh,
required.
Absolutely. Oh, it is. Yeah. And I would not have
painful,
it any other
horrific,
way.
Awful,
and that's
required.
Perfect. Yeah. The pain is actually what makes it more gratifying, because if you don't feel that, then you don't know what the other side, why that feels so wonderful and what that is. And you don't have contrast. And like what you said, contrast is the most beautiful gift that we can ever experience as human beings. And I think as humans, we need to experience these levels of pain, of obstacles, of challenges, because it enforces those elements to rise within us. That's grit, determination, what it is within us, what lights us on fire, how we understand that. But all of those different experiences, those beautiful, colorful experiences at the time, which you're just thinking, oh my God, is this serious? Like, do I really have to go through this? And yeah, you do. Because that is the push, and that's that on the other end of that. That's where the magic really comes from. That's what they, say that age-old saying is that pressure creates diamonds. I think that in each touch point of our life, those different pressure points in whatever level that they are, and that's all relative, right? I think that that's really, really important, is that it fosters something within us to be able to come to light and to shine. And I think that those different elements, which pathway you take from them, you always learn. So everything is perfect as it is always. That's my favorite saying in the universe, because the good, the bad, either which pathway that you're experiencing, it's all perfect, because it is exactly where we are supposed to be in that exact moment, lending us to our next stage.
I love that. Perfect. Say that again for us. Everything is perfect.
Everything is perfect as it is always. The good, the bad, it's all perfect.
It's all perfect.
I have to say that to myself multiple times a week. Yeah, multiple times a week.
This is perfect.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
And it helps you shift your vibration within the experience too. That's what I often find, is that when I am in an experience that perhaps it might be, triggering something, or it's making something activate or arise within me, I have to take a step back and go, okay, this is perfect as it is. It's feeling this. What is that going to lend me to? What are my lessons? What is it teaching me? And if I can, and it's not immediate. It might take me hours. It might take me days.
Years.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an ever-evolving notion. But once you get through that particular element that was causing you to have to sit, listen, look within, connect within yourself, and figure out what that best pathway is for you, and also the challenge in which how you are going to respond, because more often than not, our responses, again, they might not be, hindsight is 20/20, right? We might look back and go, gosh, I wish that I handled that differently. However, it was perfect because it got you to that next moment. And now you can look back and then your forward moments.
Of how I'll do this next time.
Absolutely.
That too was required.
It was required. Yeah, it's all required.
My kind of version of this is whatever's happening is meant to be happening.
Yes.
And how do we know that? Because it's happening.
Because it's there.
And that's simply enough.
Yeah.
And so we can drop the labor, the energetic labor, the emotional labor, the wondering, the scheming, the planning, the resisting. We can drop all of that because it's happening. And so it's supposed to be happening. And so accept it, resist it less. And like what you're saying is just understand what's here for me. It's not the event. It's not the conversation. It's not the thing that happened at work. It's not the colleague. It's what's underneath all of that. These are all just characters, these kind of spiritual props that get us into the material. Ignore the props and you'll be led in another way. There'll be another one.
There will be.
And we experience this, don't we? There's these kind of reoccurring themes where we find ourselves oftentimes at the same sort of juncture. Am I here again? Having to insert whatever it is, firm up my boundaries, increase my pricing. Am I here again?
I love a good pattern. I love when a pattern comes forward.
Yeah.
When you're in those experiences, and we have the beauty of that in life and in business and in everyday life, where we get the opportunity in most scenarios to either remain or shift the direction, or we have the choice. And I think that's what's so beautiful about everything that we do, is that we can choose a path of least resistance, what you were saying before, which is always the best path to possibly take, although it's a difficult one, because within that time we have to navigate what is activating within us and what does that mean. But that is how we innately grow.
Can I face this?
Yeah.
Can I face this? Can I face this?
And sometimes we can't, and that's okay.
Yes, I was just about to say that. Not right now.
Not right now.
And so I'll grip on to where's no longer relevant for me.
Totally.
And I'll exhaust myself doing that.
Yeah. Until I start looking the other way, looking the other direction.
And this too is relevant for me.
Yes.
The hanging on as long as I have is relevant in some way. I don't feel ready, but I acknowledge I need to be soon.
Totally.
This is all the awareness, isn't it? So what we're really talking about here is a witnessing.
That's a beautiful word.
Yeah, because so often we're here with it and we can't see beyond it. We can't see around it. We're identified as it.
Yes.
It just overtakes us. What you and I are talking about, and it sounds like a big part of the way that we move through our lives and build these businesses, is more from this witnessing consciousness or capacity, the way in which we observe what's taking place. We observe the self, actually. And so this is like, for anyone listening that's like, yeah, I do that. It's like, this is the reason why we're all spiritual. You might not say it like that. You might not identify with it in that way. But that's what this is the bigger self, the big C consciousness beginning to witness its individualism and make decisions from back there. Direct the small self for what's most evolutionary for us based on the life we're here to live. We're in the human suit. We're here to evolve and progress the spirit. And learn. And I don't know about you being in business, especially the line of business you're in, do you find that that's so quickly forgotten?
I make sure that it is not.
That's part of being in business with you, is like, listen.
It truly is.
Yeah.
I think that that's the life that I chose. I chose to really ensure that the people that I engage with at any touch point, whether that was from an external, an internal, whatever that looked like, we were all really focused on that same value add and that same foundation. And I think that that's what makes a powerful team, people that can step into vulnerability safely in order to be able to have professional and personal growth. And I think that's one of the things that people know when they do get in a room with me is that I am a mirror. It is one of my absolute elements in which I've come into this life to be for others, which is a beautiful blessing and a curse in majority of, experiences. But I do take it as a blessing. And I think that it's something that when you activate from that and you go, okay, I understand this is a really big pathway for me, but also people who engage with me know that this is the energetic connection in which we're going to have. I'm going to ask you to show up as your true self, and I will talk to you in ways in which to be able to activate that so that we can have a beautiful, flourishing business connection, conversation, personal and professional relationship that is so much more deeper and so much more fulfilling on every level. Like even with what we do, for example, I remember in the first stages of, when we started Del Rainbow and going and, having these showrooms, and you can imagine the kind of egos that are met.
That's what I mean. It's like,
fashion industry.
I came out of fashion being like, whoa, I'm not built for that.
Yeah. And I was like, I can't wait to make a change in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I knew that was a big part of my particular journey, was to foster and cultivate and co-create an environment in which that no longer needs to be facilitated and or agreed to in an agreement of contracts within people. So one of the biggest things I did was, and it was the smallest thing, but it was putting a sign on the door and having the door closed instead of having it as an open entry point.
Sealed.
And obviously there's been some stuff that's gone on in that room. There's been some gritting and some other things in which I've done, which is a little bit more me. But, it simply said, please take responsibility for the energy in which you bring into this space. We look forward to meeting your higher self. At the time, I remember people were like, great, like enter, but immediately.
Especially being in Byron, they're like, oh,
yeah, totally. Yeah. And that was everywhere. I did that in every room all over the world, in New York and Paris. And people then started to learn that they can come into this space and they can meet in comfort and they can be their most vulnerable, and highly attuned self. And what that did in forming business partnerships is on such a deeper and powerful level. Yeah. And when you can meet people within that capacity and you can hold space for them, and that's one of the things that I love to do, is to make sure that people feel seen for their magic and who they are, because I believe that that's what we're all here to do, is encourage and see one another as human beings, and then to operate from that foundation. Do what we do, sure, on the side, but that's really the sheer truth of it.
This is like so fulfilling to hear. Sometimes I do feel lonely in this work, pushing this boulder up a hill for 7 years of like, there's a different way to be in this. There's a different way to co-create, to collaborate, but it's going to require us all to look at ourselves, and nobody really wants to do that.
People are very afraid of that.
But then also have a look at us. White, blonde, you're in Byron, I'm in Bondi. I've also found it sort of difficult to how do I ground this in something beyond aesthetic, beyond stereotype, beyond white girl spirituality?
Yeah.
How do I ground this in the literal source of what we are? And how do I move these kind of corporate mentalities and sensibilities and the language to a place that's more true and be taken seriously?
It's all in action.
Yes.
It's all in action, because you're right.
Let me demonstrate.
Time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Deliver, demonstrate, duplicate.
Yeah.
Those elements are so important, I think, within this world, is that, I think what you're saying is so beautiful, because you're right. It is really difficult. It is difficult for people to open up. But you, within yourself and within your role, you've actively chosen to be a conduit.
Yep.
And you've chosen to be a storyteller, and you've chosen to be, an amazing grid space that is building and supporting people, women, community. You're fostering that. You are the supercharger within that whole space. Yeah. And there needs to be someone like you who can so authentically stand in their truth for others to feel safe. And vulnerable enough to go, oh, I'm so grateful that I can meet someone that can do what you do, but can still emulate this.
Because we can be strategic.
Yeah.
At the same time as deeply seated in the truth of what we are. It's like these aren't separate.
They are literally synergized.
Yeah.
We are human beings, not human doers, right? And I think that's one of the biggest things is when you teach people how to activate. I always teach it to, for example, our team, or whenever we're doing anything, or in the way in which we sell, and all of these kind of things. I'm like, it's so from a deeper human connectivity, because we're like, if we connect heart and mind, that is the most powerful activating force. So when I said before, it's in action, I truly wholeheartedly believe that you're absolutely right. People don't take you seriously with this until they start seeing the action, they start seeing these results come to fruition. So I love playing with that.
Yeah.
Where
let me show you.
Let me show
buckle
you.
Up.
Yeah, buckle up. I love that saying. Buckle up, because it's really about going, well, I'm going to achieve this for you 10 times harder, faster, stronger, because it's going to be so synergized with the foundational version of who you are, why you want what you want, and what that means, and your values, that you're going to not even know yourself.
You're much more than a sales agency. It's kind of totally, like, what can we call you instead? Even when I think about your about page on Del Rainbow, I'm like, it's not giving what honestly, this really is.
I don't think that anything can give what it really is until you meet me, and I speak from truth and love, and that's really, really important. And then I do completely agree with you, though, is that has to be met and synergized with, that business acumen.
Yeah.
But when you can show someone that you can achieve that business acumen via these modalities, that is where it changes everything. And when you stay wholeheartedly truthful within that and you execute, but you're still so attuned to that foundational value asset in why you're doing what you're doing, I think that's probably actually one of the biggest notions, I think, that remains you truly synergized to that purposeful connection, even when you're doing tasks, certain levels of business. But it allows you to be a pattern connector, and it allows you to see people. But when you see people for who they truly are, so for example, when you're working with clients and you can actually see through who they are, why they do what they do, and help them shine through that, like how invigorating is that?
Seriously.
It's the most powerful experience in the world. But then when you can attune into that business development acumen and getting them to absolutely flourish within that space, giving them the tools and the connectivity and doing what you need to do in your knowledge basis, wisdom, and everything that you've learned up until this point, by igniting that within them, connecting the two, and then being able to cultivate that's a very, very powerful experience.
Very unstoppable, isn't it?
It's really unstoppable. And it's exciting. Like that is what, look, you can see, like, I'm ignited by this talking to you about it, because that passion and that force, there's something that's so much greater within that. And I think that those two married together so beautifully. I always say this. I remember when I first started and I'd ask people why they do what they do, because I genuinely wanted to understand it. And some people couldn't tell me that, or they would say something and I'm like,
they thought they should say.
And I'm like, oh, that's so not it. But
we'll get there.
And that was one of my biggest goals, is to be like, I see you as this, I see you as this, I see you as this, I see what you're doing. It's so much more than this.
Are you a reflector in human design?
No, I'm actually a generator.
Yeah, I'm a generator too.
Which is weird for me, because
I felt the same. I was just like,
it's not aligned.
I feel more like the 1% personally. I was like, am I really?
Yes.
But it kind of makes sense, because
it does, because we generate for them, and that's a big part of our story.
And we're workhorses. Like we have, I always find generators, we just have this bank of, we're resourced.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to deplete.
Yes, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I tend to find that I've always got more.
Yeah, because you have force.
Yeah.
And I think that what that is like what we're just talking about, is that you have this innate passion passion breeds creativity. Passion breeds purpose. That energy and that amazing connectivity that you can have with someone when it's passion-led and authentic is 10 times stronger than anything that you'll ever do. And it connects people to their own sensory experience and their context, and it lights something in them, which then the engagement is just prolific and amazing. But that passion-led experience is what I believe makes us as generators have this amazing force to continue, because our cup is being filled from so many other elements within that process. It doesn't feel draining. It does when we're not aligned.
Yep.
Oh my God. Like, that's it. I'm out. Like,
seriously.
Immediately. Someone tries to make me drive for money. I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And I'm in sales, which is the craziest thing. But I'm like, I cannot play with that level of vibrational frequency because that doesn't align with me to generate for you.
Yeah.
I have to be
make money.
Purpose. Totally. Money comes. Money's like honey. The bees keep making it.
Yeah.
It is available out there to you. If you are truly within your true purpose, that is going to come. Yep. But I think you're right. We just have that energy because we're inspired by co-creating, I think, mostly.
Yeah. What we've kind of now gotten into is the foundation on which you do business, how you're in business. I want to talk to you about the business that you run, and there's obviously a lot of listeners who are bringing through these brands with intention and grace and in these really regenerative ways. It's a big theme in my work is regenerative business and entrepreneurism, and how do we create and give life to versus extract and take from, moving well beyond the conversation of sustainability and into repairing and restoring. And interesting for us to get into as it relates to fashion. But how do you talk about what Del Rainbow is, and talk to us about some of the clients that you work with? I also want to talk about that kind of founding tension of how you got your first clients. People always want to know, like, what was that initial one or two that then created the business? So let's start with, how do you describe Del Rainbow? Who are you working with?
Firstly, I just want to thank you so much as well for what you just said in what you're doing within your community. I think that regenerative process and connecting is just so powerful, and people need this. People need to see that this is possible and it's absolutely feasible. So I just want to say thank you so much. That really lit me up when you were talking about that. So I value and I see that within you. So Del Rainbow is two things. Del Rainbow is on a structural operational level. It is a global wholesale and logistics agency. So we do end-to-end, global sales. So that means representing brands at a global level for wholesale, connecting them with retailers, fostering and building all of those connective relationships, actually wholesaling the product at a global level. And then also the back-end logistics service, which is everything from once the sale is made all the way through to dispatch, receivables, global 3PLs, every vendor requirement, supply chain, production, all the way through for that full connective service. So we essentially take the wholesale realm for the brands that we have the privilege of and the honor of being partnered with, and we take that and do that really, really, really well for them at an expertise level and also at a love, heart-centered, connected level in every single touch point in which we do, and facilitate that as an extension of their story, as an extension of who they are, their community, and we do that with such pride. And that is the operational side of it, which is obviously gets very deep, as you can imagine, doing that on that level and that scale for amazing brands. And then on the other level, for me, it's the privilege of being a storyteller.
Yeah.
I don't know why I've been so blessed to have that experience in my life, but there is truly nothing that lights me up more than that experience. And every time that I get the opportunity to be in front of someone and tell about the vision, about the people, about the founders,
this
the people,
conduit
purpose,
to
product.
Their why.
Oh my God, that is the coolest thing for me to do in the whole world. I could do that until I am no longer in physical form. Like that for me is just the greatest gift. And to be able to speak beyond that to other people, because in our world, in wholesale, for example, you're connecting with buyers. And so buyers have the privilege and the choice to platform and give a brand an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I take that very seriously because they're platforming that brand and believing in it and connecting with it and giving them a community in which then becomes a fostered part of that brand's own individualized community too. So it's such a long-term game and scope in terms of, what you're connecting, what you're fostering. But to have the privilege and the honor to have them in the room with you and have that ability to
have
give
their
that
attention.
connection, that will never, ever, ever grow old on me. Doesn't matter at what level. If it's the smallest regional store that will, that person wants to come in and connect to that brand and that story, that to me is, I will spend all my time there.
How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Oh, God,
it just doesn't matter. Yeah. Whether it's
large or small.
Yep. The big international retailer.
Same energy.
Or the one down the coast.
Yep.
It's like we talk about executive presence, business acumen, all of these kind of words, but it's like this is what it practically looks like to operate at that level is you're not giving some to some and not to others. It's like you're showing up at that same frequency and quality for every single prospective client.
And that's so important
that's
because
what makes you the best at what you do.
Those individuals are who then will tell that story to their community.
Yeah.
So in every inch that, for example, myself, my team, everyone that is involved within this practice and process, that's what we harness and know that individual is going to then
be the advocate really for.
Yes. So we have a really big belief in that it is our job to be the conduit of the energy from all the way from supplier, marketing, production, brand owners, founders, that whole community to us, then to the buyers, then to that community, to the tail end customer. And at the end of the day, I want to know that tail end customer is feeling what I felt when I connected with them because that's community.
It's not like a tracking of that, but how do you...
It comes so natural.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about how do you even...
But then I have to teach people.
Yeah. How do you... I don't know what the right word is, vouch for that. How do you know from that conversation in that room all the way down to customer trying on garment, learning from sales rep about what this is? Yeah. Do you have anything in place that allows you to know that that's being carried, that story's being held?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is one of the most important things because what would we be doing if we were just doing it in the room and not seeing that?
Yeah.
And I think that eventuation of that factual sale and connectivity is actually what fosters the brands that we work with to have such amazing global recognition and truly grow and have that long-term stability.
Because that's one thing I have observed in kind of researching you and your work and looking at the brands you're working with. I'm like, oh, this makes sense.
Yeah, you've got to do it from start to finish and then it's ever evolving. I think that's really important is that not only are we working with the buyers and I watch them, like I watch them in that room, I see them light up because the way that, so I quickly talk about this because I really love this.
Please do.
I love human connectivity. So in what we do, I love fostering and bringing in what we talked about, just before and just prior and all of that energetic force and who we are as human beings into how we approach and connect, within a room, within sales, within that engagement. So when I have a few minutes with someone, I am firstly trying to center in and speak to their higher self. So that's my energetic force. And that's something that I try and connect with so that my higher self is speaking to their higher self as well. So that removes the ego. It removes that boundary, that barrier, that wall that could potentially be there. I try and make sure that I can connect with them on such a deeper heart space, heart, mind, and, soul connectivity. Then I will talk to them and communicate about the brand in which they're coming to see because these people are very short on time. It
Seeing a lot
punchy.
of brands.
Yeah. I often find that they will then be giving hours to us because of the way that they will be connecting in. But then I try and speak
like they only had 5 minutes, but now they've all of a sudden got an hour.
Yeah, totally. I absolutely love that. The girls always laugh so much whenever someone ends up in a room with me for some time. They're like, wow, that person had 2 minutes. I'm like, we had the best time ever.
Yeah.
But, for me, it's really about going, okay, well, how do I contextually get you to connect in with this brand? So what does that mean? So we all have context. So you and I, for example, we vibrate on the same frequency because of our interests and how deeply we connect with our passion and force and all of these different things that make us us. So within that time frame, I have 30 seconds to a minute to be able to connect with them on their human sensory experience. So to activate their context, because that will allow them to be more deeply connected within what we're talking about. But that has to be actualized and individualized to every single person. So it's that kind of psychology of human connection built in. So it's about like, sight, for example, like do they need to see how they need to see the brand? Is it, physical form, physical experience? They need to see it in store, adjacencies. What does that look like? Hear about stories, hear about connection, hear about founders, people, sight as well, like seeing it on someone. Who is it, connected with? What does that look like? Feel, touch, textures. So speaking to, fabrications, material, textual basis, linking that with story as well. And, even all other kinds of, broader human sensory experiences. But within those few notions, I will throw a few of those kind of out to try and feel and see into
catch the fish.
And see what lit you up within that moment.
And
what
then
was
stay
it?
with that.
Stay with that. And then that's how we get that connectivity. Yeah. And because that then is all fostered through, and I make sure that that is individualized to each person, because how then they take that back to their team, that connection, because you're connecting with someone on such a deeper level.
Then.
They're the advocate.
It's more than a brand. It's it's about the person who sold the brand to me.
Absolutely.
How she made me feel.
Yes, because
that is enduring.
You're so right, because we forget anything we were told. We remember how we felt.
Yes.
So in order to do that, that's such a privilege.
Like, I don't really remember what she said, but like, it was amazing. Yeah. And we need to look at this. And
and then they get that deeper connectivity. And then it goes on from there. Obviously, you have your long-term relationships, then you have your first connective cell points where they become onboarded as, a brand partner. Then we make sure that that is fostered through every single email that we send, every single Zoom call, every single training deck, every single connection with training that we have. I jump on any kind of staff training that I can possibly allow someone to allow me to do, because I know that they need to hear that and see that and feel that passion. And how can we make sure that's fostered? And then making sure they have consistency in information. I was going to say
consistency of care and service,
love and support and service,
collateral.
Oh God, I love that word. The service angle is so important in what we do. I think in every sphere, like you're here to serve your community. I'm here to serve and be a conduit for these brands and have people connect with them, because they deserve the absolute world and they deserve that to be fostered, and what they're doing is making an impact and how people feel. And I believe that in why I choose fashion, like clothing, I'm going to always remember the outfit that you were in today. I'm always going to remember what I wore, how that made me feel.
It's so funny you say this. Tony, my husband, always laughs. Every key moment in my life, I don't really necessarily remember the conversation or who was in the room, but I always remember what I was wearing. And like outfit being, again, this additional opportunity to express who we are, but also find comfort in who we are and show up as that true self. And that's lasting. Like, I don't know why that is such an imprint for me, is I'll first go to the outfit and then I'll be able to kind of recall the moment or the memory. So it's so fascinating, isn't it? It's not just,
It's so true, because then that is each individual touch points that make you who you are, and create that memory and those memories in life. And that's what I kind of take with us in what we do as such a privilege, because we're literally connecting people to support these brands, to then allow people to come in, connect with that energy force, which we know that everything is energy, right? We do know that. So this, every single creator found a moment, every single touch point fostered an energy that is now an active part of this particular product.
Yes.
People connect with that. And that's a part of that connectivity as well, like we were talking about with that line of touch point, is that what we do has that flow in for those pieces. Then all of the different people, that's why it's so important to have a comprehension of who you're working with, what their why is, because that energy automatically, have you ever walked into a store or connected with something online and just known that that's the right thing for you and felt into that? That is because the energy in which that particular item, garment, material, whatever it is, holds and radiates. So that's also how that energy connection hits the customers too. And then we know that in performance and all these kind of elements. But these particular moments, we go out and we choose what outfits we want to wear, and they become core memories in our life, and they become moments in our life. So they're so much more powerful.
Than clothes. Yeah.
Yes. So imagine having that ability. And that's exactly right, is that we remember, and like your earrings, I love these earrings and I always remember this. And,
yeah.
you know, and that creates, you know, an embodiment of who we are.
$8 from the local Vinnies.
Yeah, which I love. See, and then you've got a memory and a story with that.
Yeah.
And that is so beautiful, because that is what life is all about.
Stuff with story.
Yep.
These chairs. Who sat on them before?
Yes.
Where were they?
And what life did they have?
Yeah.
And
what hard conversations have they held people on? Like,
and now your conversations.
It's so rich, honestly.
Yeah.
This space used to be a radio station. Apparently it was the first queer radio show in Sydney. It was produced out of this room. In my main space, it used to be a costume department. Like, obviously there's an entertainment energy in this kind of, on this floor in this building. It all adds, like, it's all these kind of cognitions and creative layers that now I'm then co-creating with, and like bringing my uniqueness and what I have to give and all of my service. It's like not just clothes. It's not just a chair. It's not just an office.
It's so much more.
Oh my God. And like, honestly, it's what, and I know you'll agree with this, is what we want for everyone to be able to live from this seat of richness and context. And again, it's the witnessing of it all too, because on some level we are zoomed out looking kind of over, and we are these kind of architects, and, or at least orchestrating and taking responsibility every step of the way.